My name is Gail.
Okay, my first question for you is, could you tell me when and how you first got into yoga?
It was kind of weird in a way. I had tried, my background is in physical fitness, so I had tried yoga a few times back in the day, and I did not like it because it was really serious. And one time I laughed because I fell over and the teacher yelled at me, so I was just like, this is not for me. But about 10 years ago, no, maybe it was longer, 12, I had to have jaw surgery. And it was a really big deal. And the surgeon said, you should try yoga. You should take up yoga. I'm like, are you kidding me? It's so boring. I've tried it. And he goes, I think it would be really good for you in light of everything that's going on. So I took what he said like a prescription. I said, okay. And I did. And it was like an aha moment. It was perfect. So it's kind of neat that I have that experience because I can say to other people, I get it, but just give it a go or try somewhere else.
So what did you like about it when you tried it again?
What I liked about it, I think the teacher set the pace, so I liked her. And she ended up becoming my mentor as I went through teacher training. I liked the stretching. I liked the mind component. I liked the heart component. I liked even though she was not a very woo-woo teacher, frilly words, but I liked that part about pausing, focusing on your breath and how you can really take all those things off the mat. That really drew me to it.
So when did you become a yoga teacher?
I became a yoga teacher in 2015.
How long had you been practicing before?
Not very long. Maybe a year-ish. But I knew I wanted to teach yoga when I was taking these classes.
What made you want to become a teacher?
Because I'd been a fitness trainer my whole life, and I led group fitness. I mean, back in the day, kind of like Jane Fonda days. I mean, I've been around. I just knew that was something. And then also at the same time, I was getting divorced. So I thought, well, this will add to my, repertoire, and I can teach yoga along with fitness.
What impact has yoga had on you?
Probably the biggest impact is that I have learned that everything's going to be all right. Everything's going to be okay. And to accept yourself. Like, I'm not what I call a fancy yoga teacher. I'm very basic, meaning, I don't mean that it's like simple, but I feel like you should be able to take your yoga practice off the mat and it should enhance your life. And that happened for me, whether it's traffic or a personal situation, a traumatic thing happening, it'll be all right. Everything's going to be all right. Everything can be figured out.
That's awesome. That reminds me, because I wanted to ask you, you give off a very relaxed, soothing energy, in my opinion, since knowing you. And I was wondering, have you always been that way, or do you think that yoga kind of influenced that?
Gosh, that's a good question. I think getting divorced and getting into yoga, those two things. Yes, but I do think yoga has helped me, that it is going to be all right. So before I became a yoga teacher, when I started practicing yoga, I thought anyone that does yoga, especially if you wanted to teach, you had to be able to do handstands and back bends and crazy things. And then I learned as I was going through it, like 99.9% of yoga teachers don't do those things. And the ones that do, over time, have like blown out their shoulders, their necks. They have a lot of injuries. And many people that are what I call fancy yoga teacher, they are former dancers, gymnasts, even cheerleaders. So all that was eye-opening. I realized I could do this, that even though I was not fancy, that, it was okay.
I love that. I think that's also why I like Lift, because a lot of the teachers like you are always saying, do what works for your body. And there's not, like, everyone is kind of doing what works for them, and it's not the expectation that we all have to be
Right.
at the same level or doing the same
Yeah.
things. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Often you hear accessible yoga, but then you get to a class and it really isn't, and you feel funny.
Yeah.
It's hard enough when you're in a group situation, because when we want to do what the group is doing.
Right. Are there any misconceptions about yoga?
Oh, tons.
What's kind of some of the biggest ones?
Well, the biggest one is I'm not flexible. I can't sit still. But the flexibility is the main thing. And so I really try to stress with anybody in my class or just talking out, anywhere, that it doesn't matter. People don't realize that the physical poses, the postures that we practice, are only one component of yoga. There are 8 limbs of yoga, meditation, the breathing practice, and other things that make up a yoga practice. So, but being flexible, people worry about that, and they feel they'll be judged, or they judge themselves. And so making people feel at ease and comfortable, that's the main thing. And really, to help us maintain our mobility, it's helpful to work on our flexibility. So it doesn't mean you have to be able to touch your toes, but just head that way,
What would your advice be for someone wanting to try yoga?
You have nothing to lose. I think that, like many things, it could be your kindergarten teacher. A lot depends on who is leading the class and the atmosphere of the space you are taking the class. Some people can feel really intimidated, like they don't belong. I hear stories all the time. So if you were thinking of trying it, hopefully you could find a place that does something like where you can try it for a reasonable fee. Like, don't commit to a membership until you've taken a few classes, so you know that you feel like you belong there.
One thing I wanted to talk about is the saying you recite at the very end of class. So do you mind reciting what you say there?
If you pause it, I'll get it. Believe it or not, I don't have it memorized.
Oh, really? Okay.
Before I share it with you, I also work at an outpatient treatment center for people recovering from drug and alcohol addiction. So I've been there almost 6 years, and I first started using it there at the end when I teach yoga or meditation. And then I added it here. And the saying or the quote, I tweaked words, like it's mine, but there are others out there similar. So hats off to whoever. May you be strong in spirit, courageous in action, and oh so gentle of heart. May you act with wisdom, conquering any fears, any self-doubts. May you meet yourself and others with compassion, and may you be a source of healing energies. And may you face each and every day with hope and great joy.
I love that. And do you mind saying the part after that also?
Yeah, so at the very end of the class, and again, this came from my work with people recovering from addiction. Mm-hmm. Remember that you are here on earth on purpose. You are here on earth for a purpose. And always remember, always, the world is a better place with you in it.
I love it so much. It really resonates with me and means a lot to me. So can you share a bit of kind of why you started saying that?
Yes, absolutely. Same thing. It resonated with me. And as yoga teachers, a lot of teachers, consider and think about theming a class or an opening quote or a quote at the end. And years ago, I would do different quotes. And then I came up with this one, and then the last thing I just said about being here on purpose. It just stuck with me, and I think I've been doing it for 4 years now. And because I think it's so true, and it hits everybody, including my own self. And no matter what is going on, what challenges, the world is a better place with you in it. We all need to hear that, and often we don't, or our purpose. And your purpose can just be your existing. You don't have to set the world on fire or invent something. Your purpose could be as simple as you've opened a door for someone, or you help someone carry packages, or, you know, it's really quite simple. But as a teacher, I don't so much anymore, but I struggle with, I'm always using the same one. But I thought, what the heck? It's good. It's a good message to give people.
I agree, and I actually
Thank you.
love that you use the same saying, because I think it is a reminder that we all need to hear. So even if I've heard you say it before, it always like is meaningful when I hear you say it. So
Yeah.
I don't think repeating it is
Yeah.
bad at all.
Oh, good.
It's honestly helpful, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, and I'm not saying it's like a prayer, but there are so many things that we do repeat to ourselves, maybe a mantra, you know, or an intention, similar to a prayer that we use all the time. So you're right, that's my story I'm sticking with.